Good morning. It's Monday. I'm Jeff Blankenburg. I haven't updated any of my stuff. It's Today is March 30th of some year. I've lost complete track, and I have no idea where we are or what we're doing. But I decided to go live here today, and so as we do every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm just gonna let's see if I can change this live on air. Look at that. And then we're going to go to this one because I didn't change this one either. And I need to link these together so that when I change one of them, they all change. But I haven't done that because reasons. So we'll change this one because this is what we're going to build today. And so I'm really excited to be able to do this every week. I know it may not show it based on my facial features or energy or enthusiasm, but I really love doing this. I find that I get a ton of interaction with folks. I get to learn from all of you, and it makes everything just a little brighter in what is an otherwise odd time. So to start this, I'd love to know how everybody's holding up. How are we doing? I mean, outside of the hair that's growing out of my face, my life doesn't feel all that different. I normally work from home, and I tend to spend a lot of time on Twitch and writing code and building cool things, and yeah, that's not that different from what I'm doing now, except that I don't really have anywhere else to go, and a lot of my job, my profession is going places and seeing people, and so I really miss that, but it's almost April. And the weather's getting nice outside. I've gone running every day for the last 5 days, which is not something I do. But I'm glad that I can do it, and I plan on continuing to do it. So if you guys are on Strava, which is an app, you can definitely join me there. If you're a runner or like to go for a hike or get exercise, I'm not paid by them at all, but I really enjoy the app. I think it does a good job of matching my style. It runs on my my Apple Watch, so it's real easy for me to just go out and tap a button and start tracking my exercise. But yeah, in general, it's a weird time. We don't go out. We don't go anywhere. I decided to start over. I'm now playing. Why do I continue to forget the name of this game? We're gonna do this because I'm embarrassed to ask you all. Nintendo Switch Zelda game. Breath of the Wild. I don't know why I can never remember that. Maybe because they never mention the breath or the wild at all in the game. But I started that over, and so I've been playing that quite a bit too. And it's made me think a lot about the kind of games that I really enjoy and the things that I really enjoy doing. To give a little backstory, I guess we can flip to this. To give a little backstory, probably 10 years ago now, it's been a while, I teamed up with a few people, and we built a cool thing called the toughest developer puzzle ever. And the idea of the thing was that you could go to the website, toughestdeveloperpuzzleever.com. It doesn't exist anymore. And I think we also bought TDPE, which is Toughest Developer Puzzle Ever, just as an acronym. And the idea was for you to hunt through the internet to find answers to our questions. And so a lot of times you would spend a little time digging through some source code, some HTML on a website to find a comment that was left there. And in that comment, there'd be a clue as to where to go next or where to find the next hint. And that would shoot you off someplace else on the internet, and you would go find that thing. And so we had a lot of fun with that. And we had thousands of people try our contest, and we had prizes for people. But it was just kind of a fun thing that we threw together. It wasn't anything that was endorsed by any company or whatever. There was a handful of us that just really had some fun putting that all together. So I've been thinking a lot about that, and I've been thinking about the games that I enjoy playing. And so one of the things that I wanted to bring up, if we come back here, is a game called Play the X. Now, I don't know these people. I don't know anything about who they are or what they do. All I know is that they've built a really cool game that runs on the iPhone, and it doesn't even look like they have a web page specifically. So I'm just going to go to their Twitter, I guess. But the idea behind this game, Play the X, is that they... What's the best way to say this? They present you with a puzzle on your phone, and it almost always requires you to go out to the internet and find some answers or have some pop culture knowledge. Lately, they've been very pandemic focused or news focused. But as an example, and this isn't to make light of the situation, but for example, when Kobe Bryant passed away in that terrible helicopter accident, the person that creates this game had a couple of puzzles that were in kind of tribute to Kobe Bryant. And so you had to figure out that a puzzle that involved the two numbers that Kobe wore as a basketball player, number 8 and number 24. You also had to be able to play with some other things to be able to like solve a puzzle, but they were Kobe Bryant related. I think one related to maybe his daughter's name. So you either have the knowledge because you pay attention to a lot of what's going on in the news and popular culture, or you don't, and you kind of have to dig and figure out what the meaning of this thing is. But the way that they have it set up is they actually have $1,000 a week that they give away. And so that $1,000, I think the first person to finish the puzzle gets $1,000, and then beyond that, it scales down. I think second through fifth get something like 25, and if you're 10,000th, I think you get a quarter. And then they send all that money out via PayPal the following week, right before the next puzzle. It's a really fun model, and something that I've really enjoyed. My family and I like doing this every time. And when we're not in the crazy times that we are now, the puzzle usually ends with you having been given GPS coordinates, and you need to figure out where to go and go to that place and take a picture of it. And so you have to use the camera that's enabled inside the app. And the camera doesn't enable until you're at that GPS location. So they can actually verify that you went to the place you were supposed to go, you take a picture using their camera inside the app, and then you win your prize. And so I've been thinking a lot about this and how I would do something like this with Alexa. Now, there's a few things I can't do, right? I don't have a...
I'll answer quickly
Alexa,
as I can.
Stop. I don't have a mobile app, so I can't bury it in there. But I do have Alexa apps, right? I do have... I thought I muted you. I do have all of these skills that do things. I also have the entirety of the internet and Wikipedia and all sorts of other places that have reliable, predictable data on them. And so it seems to me like it might be possible to build an interesting, well, let's call it a scavenger hunt. That's what I'm calling it here on the screen. Hey, Karthik, thank you for joining. It's good to see you. I know that my good friend Carrie, Coding Bandit, aside from subscribing, by the way, which is amazing, I think she's the one behind changing the lights a lot today. I have the sign recommending that you switch it to green, but it's already been green and pink and yellow, I think. And if you haven't done this before, you can change the color of that light by saying what's on the sign here. If I get out of the way. There we go. Let's do that. Ask Jeff Blankenburg to set the lamp to green. If I'll try that right now and just see what happens. Alexa, ask Jeff Blankenburg to set the lamp to green.
The lamp has been set to green.
There you go.
Tune into twitch.tv/Jeff Blankenburg to see it change live on air. What would you like to know?
Stop.
Gotta go. There are monsters to kill.
Okay, so that's kind of the thing that I was thinking about building today, is exploring the idea that I would have a skill that is a scavenger hunt. Let's say there's 5 puzzles to solve each week, and Alexa gives you the clue, and then you need to figure out, excuse me, you need to figure out what the answer to that puzzle might be. And it's not going to be an obvious question like what number was Kobe Bryant. That's a trivia game, and that's not something I'm interested in doing. What I am interested in doing is writing a card to your Alexa app and having you look at a picture, or showing something on your Echo Show screen, or giving you I don't know, maybe a sound effect or something that gives you some clues. I was thinking about using sound effects like emojis, and so you'd have to piece them together and be like, all right, that was solving some problem. So if you guys are with me, I think that's what I'm going to try and build today. Is I'm going to think about what would a puzzle look like. And I don't even know how deep we're going to get into code today, because I think the coding part of this is actually going to be pretty easy. So let's just start with a notepad and think about what some puzzles might look like if I wanted to have 5 phases. So we have puzzle 1, and then answer 1. Puzzle 2, answer 2. Puzzle 3, answer 3. Puzzle 4, and I would love your input on this too. Answer 4, and puzzle 5. Answer 5. Okay, so no, Karthik, I think this is a little different. This is more like you're going to have to go find a piece of information on the internet, or you're just going to have to be aware enough of pop culture and some things that are going on to be able to play. This is not a point scoring game. This is not a there aren't levels. This is much more like a digital scavenger hunt where you're going to have to go out and find some interesting bits of information and use the clues that I've given you to kind of identify what that might be. So the first thing that I want to do is come up with a theme of 5 things. And they don't all have to be linked together. I think that having them joined, for lack of a better word, temporally, like over time, is an interesting way to do this. I'm going to stand up, actually. I don't need to be sitting this whole time. We'll sit when I'm coding. So what I really want to be able to do is come up with some puzzle items. So I was thinking that the first one, for those of you that have been paying attention, like there was the whole Tiger King documentary on Netflix. And I feel like there's a good opportunity there to come up with some kind of puzzle. And I don't know what that is yet. But let's say that's our theme for number 1. Oh, excuse me. I don't want this to necessarily be United States centric, but I think I probably will end up having something like that happen. So let's do this. This is a good way. Let's see. Last week's news. Let's see what the latest news in the United States is that isn't related to the pandemic, because I'd really like to stay away from that. So, around the nation, that's great. Do we have... so like here's a good one. The Tokyo Olympics just today were announced that they have a new date. So this is a perfect example of the kind of puzzle that I would want to do. So we'll say new Olympics date. And the new date, I think, is July 21st, 2021. Let's see. July 23rd, 2021. So let's mark that down as a... So this is probably going to be the answer. That would be my guess. But what I will do is I'll put together a puzzle that like suggests this in some way. So maybe I will send you an. Maybe I'll make an image that has. Yeah, we'll do something like. It is the day after my birthday. Thank you for knowing that, Carrie. So we could do something like card image that shows the Olympic rings, the Japanese flag, and the BTTF DeLorean. Maybe something like that, where I just create an image and it has the Olympic rings, the Japanese flag, and the Back to the Future DeLorean, suggesting that we're going to the future sometime. And you need to tell me what the new date is. So you would say, so I would send you that card, there would be no other information, and you would have to figure out that you need to tell Alexa July 23rd, 2021. That's a decent little puzzle. We may work out what the image looks like or how we do that. But so let's make that the answer 2. For the Tiger King one, I wonder if we could find... Ooh, nice. Thank you for the follow. That's awesome. Let's see if we can come up with a way... is that Dennis Burton? That would be amazing. I haven't seen you in years. I don't know if that's actually who that is, but if you want to drop something in the comments, in the chat, I'd love to chat, man. Hope things are well. Okay, so we've got that one. Let's see if we can come up with some Tiger King stuff. Oh my gosh, Dennis, it's good to see you, man. Thank you for being here in my little nonsense world of streaming. Dennis and I worked years ago together at an ad agency. What can I do for... Oh, so here's like, this is the kind of stuff that I really like. So this guy, if you guys haven't watched the Tiger King stuff, by the way, yet, it's bonkers. It's the craziest thing that I've ever seen. But it's primarily about this guy, Joe Exotic, who lives in Oklahoma, who runs like a private zoo. He has lions and all sorts of other stuff, but tigers are his core thing. And I can't, like... Let's put it this way. If I told you what the show was about, you wouldn't believe me. So it's worth just giving it a listen. But one of the things that I noticed that was a pattern in the show was that he took on a lot of different last names. His last name kept changing. And so it feels like... Yeah, it feels like there's a thing there. So for the Tiger King one, I think we're going to do, what are the last names of Joe Exotic? And the last names are, I have to remember all of them that he had, but he had Maldonado, he had Passage, but he also had his original name, which I don't know if we can... Is Joe Exotic a page yet? I imagine he has to have a page on all of this. This is a really bad... Like, I would think people would have blown this page out. Joseph Maldonado Passage. Let's see. Schriebvogel. That's the one I was looking for. So... he's had those 3 last names. He was born with the last name Schriebvogel. He also has... So I would have you say Schriebvogel Maldonado Passage. and that would be the voice answer that you would give to this, right? So now I need to come up with what the question or how I do this thing is. Because I'll probably need Joe with synonyms, right? So that I know what you're saying, but what I want you to say is these three things, and I want in any order, that's fine. But how do I prompt you to say this? Again, I think it's probably done... I don't want these to come across as trivia questions, right? That's the thing that we're trying to avoid, is things like, what are the other last names of Joe Exotic? I want it to be a puzzle. So maybe we just do like a tiger print background image with the words Joe Exotic on it. The word exotic is X'd out. Should we try throwing that together? Let's well, there's something I need to know first. So let's, if we go to Alexa card image, can you guys not see when I go to the Let me know if you guys can't see anything. I feel like I'm doing like the preview that I'm seeing seems to suggest that it's working. So please let me know if you guys can't see what I'm doing. So this is the thing that I wanted. For a card in for Alexa, we can send two images. For smaller screens, it uses a 720 by 480 image, and for large images, it uses a 1200 by 800. So the next thing that we need to do, if I get my stuff out of the way, is get rid of that. Let's open up some Photoshop and have a little fun. And we'll wait for that to fire up here, maybe. There we go. You can see my most recent projects in Photoshop have been all sorts of things. Calvin, I like Photoshop. By the way, thank you for tuning in. But I like Photoshop. I think it solves a lot of interesting problems for me, even though I can't seem to open it right now. New. So we said that this is going to be 1200 by 800. Well, maybe we'll learn some Photoshop stuff today. So I'm going to choose pixels, and I want 1200 by 800. Resolution can be 72. These are all digital. Background is white. Yeah, that sounds good because I'm going to be doing these. I'm just going to be doing these in an app that always puts them on a white background. Why can't I move this window? This is very annoying. I don't know how it got stuck under there or whatever, but there we go. I don't know what that just was, but cool. So now we can do this. Okay, so we're in Photoshop, and we're gonna have two documents. The first one is gonna be 1200 by 800. The other one is gonna be 720 by 480. So I'm gonna create a new one that's 720 by 480, and we're just gonna make these in parallel. A lot of times I will make one and then shrink it to the other, but as I recall, these are not the same dimensions, and so that is why I'm okay. So now we have that one and that one. They look pretty similar dimensionally, but we'll just keep these separately. So the next thing that I want to do is find a tiger print. Look at all the tiger prints. So I want something that's kind of readable, but it definitely has to say tiger because that's going to be what about this one? Heck you. What's the right way to do this without just stealing artwork? If I go back to the search, I think I can specifically say, find me images that are usage rights labeled for reuse with modification. Something like a tiger print's still gotta have. I also want to change this to like size large. Yeah, so we'll take, how big are you? 1920, that's perfect. All right, this serves my purpose, so we'll copy this image. And I feel like I'm not stealing, which is always good. Edit, transform this, just to bring it down to a reasonable size. There are probably better ways to do this. I'm by no means a Photoshop expert. I'm a Photoshop novice, but I can get the job done. For things like my the conference that Carrie and I put together, I do like all the badges and all that stuff, and that's usually some pretty complicated Photoshop work, but I'm capable of getting it done. And so then we're going to flip this to white, and we want the text to be Joe Exotic. I said white, but it didn't listen, so we'll change that to white. And we're going to change our font size to like, I don't know, 300. That's too big. Maybe 100. It's actually not a bad font. What font did I select? Oh, that's like an Avengers font. I was thinking I was going to use like an Indiana Jones font or something like that, but that's not terrible. And then the other thing that I was going to do was to take a rectangle. No, let's go normal rectangle. No, not fixed ratio. Let's have an actual normal rectangle. Wow, Calvin, that's really kind of you. Thank you. I'm going to take that, and we're going to create a new layer. And we're going to fill it in with, like, I want, like, bright red. Something that's, like, clearly this is going away. And then I'm going to fill in that rectangle. And then we're going to transform that. We're going to rotate that. So, rotate. Okay, that's looking good, so we'll put that like there, and then we're gonna copy that layer, duplicate it, maybe, something, make another one, transform that one, rotate the other way, and now this makes me feel like I actually want to do one more thing with this, which is to take, I want to group these layers. No, I don't want to group the layers. I want to merge the layers. Why is merging not merge layers? It's just hidden behind the video. Merge layers. Then we're going to transform this to be smaller. No, that's not the one I wanted. Here we go. Scale it down. And we're going to do this like tic-tac-toe, like, not tic-tac-toe, Family Feud. We're going to put 3 X's here. Now my hope is that this gives you a clue that, by the way, like, there are 3 things. that you need, right? Like this is the kind of puzzle that I like to build. So we would do something like this, where we have Joe Exotic, we have 3 marks on it, which cross out the exotic, which means it's been changed 3 times, and we would use that as our answer. So to give you those of you that maybe came in a little late, an idea of what's going on here, what I'm doing is I'm building an Alexa scavenger hunt game where you basically have to go out and find the information if you don't already know it, and then you have to tell Alexa what you think the answer is. And so in this case, if we look at my code thing here, what are the last names of Joe Exotic? That's really the question that I'm asking. And he's had 3 different ones, which are Shrevogel, Maldonado, and Passage. And so those are that's the thing that I'm going to expect Alexa to hear from you. But what I'm going to do is write an image directly to your app, and it's going to have the word exotic crossed out. And I think the 3 crosses are enough to suggest that I want 3 answers. I think it's enough. So the other thing that we should do is if we take layer 1 here, paste it here, what do I get? Yeah, I thought it might trim it. Okay, so let's go get that image again. Copy it. Because if you play this on a larger, device, like a Fire TV or something like that, it's going to use this bigger image, and so I want these to both look good. I think I might actually be able to just use the big one, and we'll go from there. So if I just do like that, and then we'll do the Joe Exotic again in white. We can probably make that bigger, maybe 125. Looking for my centering guides. Come on. There we go. Close enough. And then I'm just going to take my X layer, and I'm going to bring it over here. Make it a little bigger. So we're going to try just making one image of this, and then scaling it to be the smaller one too. So we'll take this one, put it down here. Take this one, put it over here. Get lined up, please. Layer 4 is this. Okay. So we have our Joe Exotic. We have the tiger print background. I think that's enough to get us there. So let me see if I can export this as a PNG. Downloads. No, that's probably not where I should put it. I don't really have a good place for this yet. All right, let's go do this real quick. New terminal. And we'll do ask new. So we're just going to create a new skill, really just so I have a place to store some images for now. Node.js. Here, I'm going to move up my terminal view so you can actually see this stuff. Choose Node.js. I'm going to choose the Hello World template. That's a good starter. And then we're going to call this scavenger hunt. I don't think I have one called that. No. Okay, that's good. Skill scavenger hunt has been created. Give me back my... Come on. Here we go. So now we have CD scavenger hunt. Cool. So let's open skill.json, because that's going to have some things in there that I want to change. If you guys have been through with this with me before, where we create a new skill, there's always a few things in here that I like to tweak. The first one is my lambda name. I just want this to be scavenger hunt. I don't need all the extra stuff they put on that, and you can only change this, well, once you publish the skill, it'll create that lambda function for you, and I just want to make sure. We're also going to get rid of all the other locales. It's not that I don't want to have other locales, I just don't want to have them right now. French, Spain, Mexico, Spanish, Mexico, Spanish, Spain, Canadian, I think this is the US English one. No. US English is the first one, okay. So we'll do one more. And all of the rest of this looks fine. So we can save that. There's one more thing that I really like to do, which is for whatever reason, when you download the template, I now have this folder called Scavenger Hunt, and in here there's all this Git stuff. This is the Git stuff from the template that we're pulling down from GitHub. And if you try to create a Git repository around this, it'll use that one, and then you can't commit or do anything because you don't have access to that directory. So I want to delete those, and then I'm going to create a folder called art, and that's where I'm going to put this thing. So that's all I really wanted to do for now. We're not publishing the skill or anything. So now we'll go to GitHub. And we'll find our scavenger hunt, find our art folder, and we're going to call this, let's call it Game 1 Puzzle 1. I don't actually know how I'm going to name these, but having a naming system like this would be really, really helpful as I'm building future games, because again, we'd be swapping out all of the content every week. I imagine once I have the skill built properly, that this is something that I could easily create 5 puzzles for in a couple of hours. And then the skill would know to not publish it until a specific time or day. But we'll just call it Game 1 Puzzle 1, because then I don't have to know anything else about it. Just what game I'm in and what puzzle I'm in. I don't need, like, if I call it Tiger King or something like that, then I've got to have some mapping system to know exactly where to go. And on top of that, there's possibility I could have another Tiger King puzzle at some point in the future related to Carol Baskin, who is like the antagonist maybe in the show. And I thought about doing something related to Baskin Robbins. Her last name is Baskin. But thinking about doing something like that where it's a play on the fact that her last name is Baskin and there's this ice cream place. Maybe have a picture of Baskin Robbins, or I don't know. We'll figure that part out. But this is fine for now. Game 1 Puzzle 1.png. I'm going to save that. And then we're just going to try and transform this to 720 by 480. Like that. And export that one. That's the other thing that I need to do, is to rename this to be 1200 by 800. And then call this one 720 by 480. Because that will also be important. Okay, so we have our first images for our first puzzle. And if we look at this now, we have Shrevogel, Maldonado, and Passage, which are going to be the answer to that thing. There's a lot of building that needs to happen in order for that to occur. So let's just focus on I guess we're in Photoshop. Let's work on the next one. So for this one, we'll do another image. I guess what I need to think about, and I'd love your feedback on this as well, is I could just push a card image to your Alexa app every time. But I feel like there's got to be a way for me to... Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to do is do play tiger sound effect. I can do that pretty easily too. But I want to come up with ways to present the puzzle in a number of different ways. So one is check your Alexa app for the image I just sent you. It seems like universally... things we need universally. Twitter page. So we could just send you to our Twitter. A Instagram. The user's cell phone number. Be cool to send them texts. I think that would be pretty cool. But if I have a Twitter and I have an Instagram, I just crushed my ankle with this stool. Ouch. If I have an Instagram, I could potentially have images posted on Instagram, and I could have the user find them there instead. That's interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna have to think about that, because one of the things that I've seen the X do very successfully is pointing people to Instagram, and it asks you to figure out like how many posts they've had, or an emoji that's in a comment on a specific image, or something like that. And it feels like there should be a easy way to do that, but I have to keep my focus on the fact that the answer every single time to every one of these puzzles has to be via voice. Right? One of the things that they can do really well is put a keyboard up on the screen and let you choose an emoji, or type in a number. And numbers are pretty easy, but I don't want to just say things like, go find how many posts we have on Instagram. It's got to be harder than that. I mean, it's nice to drive people to your stuff, but you also don't want it to be so incredibly self-serving. Okay, so we have an image for our first one. We're going to do an image for our second one. Let's do the second image. We'll just go to Photoshop and do the second one. So this one I think can be easier. We'll let's save this too. We'll just save the whole Photoshop file, and then we'll layer some things up. So we go to GitHub. Come on. Go to scavenger hunt. Go to art. We'll just call this puzzles. Okay. So now I'm going to create a folder over here. We're going to call this what did I call the images? Game 1. So we'll call this Game 1. And then inside there I'm going to create a folder. This is going to be called Puzzle 1. And then I'm going to take all of these pieces and drop them into Puzzle 1 folder. So then I can do that, and then I can turn them off, and boom, I'm good to go. So now I should be able to do a new folder. We can call this Puzzle 2. And a white background is just fine for this. Actually, shoot. This is the thing this is why I don't like setting it up so that you have different sizes. So that's the thing that's shrunk it. So I need to go back to this state. I always have to remember to undo when I change it to the smaller size. Otherwise, I will proceed forward with the smaller size and then I lose everything. So let's do all that again. So this is game 1. And then I have this folder is going to go inside game 1, and this is going to be puzzle 1. And then I have another folder. This is going to be puzzle 2. Nope. Let's try that again. And then I'm going to take all of this, and I'm going to drop it in puzzle 1. Close it, hide it, and now we're in puzzle 2, and now we can focus on the stuff that we need to focus on, which is Olympic rings. That's perfect. Copy that image. That's fine for now. And then we need Japan flag. Perfect. This is actually interesting because I can be tricky with this. If I copy this image and I paste it into Photoshop, what you'll see is that it looks like a red dot, right? Even if I transform this, like if I do this, right, there's no border on this flag. And so that's kind of a fun way to mess with how this is all going to work. So we'll take our Olympic rings, transform those. And then the last thing I want is something related to like the Back to the Future DeLorean. No, actually, maybe I just want a calendar. Is this the way I want to go? Does this, I mean, they're moving it into the future. And everybody knows Back to the Future, but I feel like calendar icon. How could I do this in an interesting way? With circles. I'm trying to confuse the circles. Sometimes that's all a puzzle is presenting information that's in a very vague kind of presentation. See, this is kind of fun, but I'm venturing into the that's not my artwork world. Wish that was flatter. I think I could. I think if I go to the developer. Icon maker. Let's see if I can just find the URL to that. Alexa icon builder. Booyah! Let's do this. So I want to take the icon. I want to choose a different one. Can I find calendar? Not calendar times, calendar. That'll work. Does that look like a calendar to you? I don't know that that looks like a calendar. Month. No. Calendar. I was hoping I could use the Alexa icon maker to do what I want to do. I don't know what the suggestion engine is either. This is terrible. Calendar. Does that even look like a calendar to you guys? I mean, it kind of does, but it also looks like a laundry basket to me. Oh, I don't know. Okay, we want a background that is just like solid color. Red, maybe? Yeah, it could look like a car battery too. I don't love that icon. Okay, you guys have convinced me that's the wrong icon. I really need one that has... I mean, I understand they're icons, but you can't put 7 boxes across. Well, we're going to have to do some attribution anyway, so I'll use my favorite website for this kind of stuff, which is the Noun Project. So this calendar... This is, if you guys aren't familiar with the Noun Project, they basically took on this idea that there should be an icon for everything, and then they let artists contribute their icons to solving that problem. And so it's fantastic. The one that still really struggle with, though, is the word save. You can see how many floppy disks are in here. When was the last time you used a floppy disk? And so there's a lot of words that hover around it, but we don't really have a good icon yet for save. Like there's download. This is definitely a download icon. It's not necessarily a save. But look at how heavily we rely on the floppy disk for saving. I mean, it's amazing to me that we don't have a better visual concept for saving. I mean, we've got all sorts of crazy icons for stuff. Yeah, Carrie, I oftentimes just buy the icons because I use this so much. But, I mean, you don't pay a lot for them. I think it's $1 or $2 or something like that. And then you don't have to worry about attribution. But I don't want save. I want calendar. So let's go back there. And oftentimes you'll even find artists that you really prefer for their icon systems. And they'll have a whole series of them. I mean, this looks a lot like the one we were just looking at. I like this one. This kind of fits what I'm thinking. Well, I can pick what color I want it in. Oh, it's the background. Okay, that's not as helpful. I wanted the icon to change. So I chose the background. Let's change the background to white. Change the foreground to red. Bald Clap asks a really good question. I read somewhere that using icons should be avoided because they don't always translate, but I suppose they translate better than just words. My feeling is like there are universal constants to iconography, and this I would think you could take this to any modern civilization, and everyone would tell you that this is a calendar. So that feels safe to me. But I think that there are very culturally. There are very what is the you know what I really need to do? I'm thinking through multiple problems at once. I need to go back here and get the color of the Japanese flag, and we're going to use that as my color of my icon, which is that. So let's come back here, and then I will continue this conversation. Palette, custom color, give me this. That's the Japanese flag color, apparently. Okay, so get this icon. I don't think I'm saved in right now. Basic download. Yeah, I don't want to pay, so that's fine. I can do the work. Continue. We'll take this and we'll add this to our list of things that we might need to do. We don't need to do it now, but we're going to need to do it at some point. GitHub scavenger hunt art, and we'll call this calendar. And we'll create a new folder called icons. Save. Okay, now I have my calendar, so let's come in here and we'll open our icon. And unfortunately, we're going to chop this out because we just don't need it. But we will, again, we'll attribute because that is the right thing to do. Copy that, drop it here, edit, transform, scale. And then the real question is, what color do I want it to be, or do I want to? Yeah, this might be fun, and it makes it look a little more integrated. So we'll take this. We'll take this guy. Nope, got to turn off contiguous. Just that guy, and we're going to alternate the colors in the calendar of the colors of the rings. So we'll grab the blue first, and we will fill it with blue, and then we'll grab the next one, and we'll fill it with yellow, and then we'll grab the next one, which is, well, black can be fine, so the next one will be green. We'll fill that. No, I gotta grab it first, so that'll be this one, green. Fill it in here, and then we'll grab the next color, which is red, if I could use the right tool, and red. Okay, now I can do this where I grab 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one will be also red, and then this one, and this one will be blue. Interesting diagonal I'm creating too. Didn't even occur to me that I was doing that. So we'll take this, get our blue again, and do that. And then we'll grab, so it was blue, yellow. This one will be yellow. This also has a very Google vibe to it, this calendar now, but I think that's okay. I wanted the yellow and I got it, so now I just need to fill that in. And then this one should be green. So we now have our little custom calendar icon. And now I need to center all this stuff. So let's find the center of our document. Let's turn all these layers off for a second. Find the center of our document, which is where is it? Why are my rulers in inches? It would make it much easier to find 600 if I knew where the pixels were. Boom. Okay, so now if we turn these back on, I can see pretty easily that flag of Japan should be like there, and then my rings should intersect the center of the black one. Boom. And then I take my calendar thinks that is centered. Okay. Okay. I can live with that. So, again, we're going to do export as PNG. We're going to do game 1, puzzle 2. Right there. And then we're going to resize it. Image size is now 720. We're going to export it again. This one will be game 2, game 1, puzzle 2. And I forgot the 720 by 480. So this will be 1200 by 800. And save. And now we have our 2 images. So you can see where I'm headed with this. I want to build out 5 puzzles that have newsworthy information. And hopefully this is some visual indication to the user that I want the new date for the Olympics, which was just announced this morning. So let's come back over here, and we're going to save this file in a new folder called Puzzles. Call this game 1. Save. Okay, so I have that. Now what I want to do is open a folder, and we're going to find our GitHub folder that is scavenger hunt. Open that. And the first thing that we want to do is look at our models. We're going to get rid of all of these except the US one. Delete. No. Please delete. And again, these are things we can go back and add, but I tend to start with my local geography, and then once I feel like there's momentum around the skill, then I think it makes sense to broaden it. But we'll just call this scavenger hunt for now. I don't think that's what I'm going to call it. Help cancel stop. We're going to get rid of. Well, we'll need this as a structure. So we have our model. That's good. And then I have my lambda index. And there's so much that I need to rip out of this, but the thing that I really need to do right now is just say welcome helps you put these in strings, huh? Welcome to the scavenger hunt. This is just so I know I'm here. So that gives me my launch request, and then let's go ahead and deploy all this stuff and get it all set up. Ash deploy. And that's going to take a second because it's going to need to push stuff up. It's going to need to create the skill. It's going to need to check the model. It's going to need to be able to push the lambda function up and create that. There's a lot of creation on this first go, and so that'll take just a minute. But this will get us to a place where we can test this thing. So right now it's checking my model to make sure all that is working. And then the next steps will be to actually get this thing working. We'll write that card out. What I want to do is build an engine for this so that I can easily swap out data week to week. And the code itself will have to check and see what the date is, and it'll look for the next game and all that nonsense. And we'll do that probably with Airtable to store a lot of these images. All right, looks like that's all ready. I would love to go to the dev console and test this just to make sure that it's working. I know I can do this from the command line, but I tend to prefer this tool. I feel like this works really well. So open scavenger hunt.
Welcome to the scavenger hunt.
Okay, cool. We have a working skill. So that's always a good sign. So let's think about how this is really going to work. When you open the scavenger hunt, there's a few bits of information that we really need. We're going to take some notes for ourselves in our code just so we have this. Carrie asks, how many skills do you actively maintain, putting new content out weekly, etc.? Very few. I think I probably have 20 published skills, and a lot of them just have, 100 or 200 or 400 questions in them, but they're not actively being maintained. But I'm also not actively promoting them, and they're not actively getting a ton of usage. So there's not a lot of incentive to do that, but that's because I haven't gone through those efforts. There are some people that have built skills that are pushing new content every day, every week, and are making money because of it. I think one of the things that is almost a demotivator for me is that we have this really cool program at Alexa called the Developer Rewards Program. Amazon provides money to developers who build popular skills, things that are engaging and that people use on a regular basis. And if you have a good month where a lot of people are using your skill, you can get a check. I am unfortunately, I don't know if we want to call it whitelisted or blacklisted from that list because I'm an employee. And so I don't have the same kind of incentives to build wildly popular, repeatable behavior kind of things because even if my skill were to get popular, there's no financial incentive there for me. I've also looked at doing things. I can do things like in-skill purchasing, and that's actually going to be a play in this as well. So let's add that one first. Sell hints to puzzles for $1, maybe $1.99. That is how I thought I might monetize this one, is to have people, well, if they get stuck on a specific puzzle, they could say help or hint, and then they could buy a hint, which would give them not the answer, but much closer, much more specific information about what we're looking for. Okay, so things that I need to do. I need to be able to track a user's progress. Which puzzle are they currently playing? Can't type. Do we allow users to play games from previous weeks? Maybe this is a premium feature that also includes one hint a week. There's an interesting idea. These are the kinds of things though that by building these in and having people play this game, these are the kinds of things that would definitely incentivize me, Carrie, to do a lot of these on a regular basis. Because if this is making money, if people are playing it, then I have incentive to continue to make new content. When it's not making me any money, and when I don't have the ability to monetize in any way, the popularity is cool. The novelty of it is fun. But at the end of the day, like, I also have a job and a family and everything else, and this just becomes a hobby, I guess, creating all these puzzles and things. And it's fun, and I think you need to do it for an extended period of time before you can gain the kind of popularity you're looking for. You need people to spread the word and share the puzzle with others. But this is one of those things that I might make puzzles for, I don't know, 6-8 weeks, and if it hasn't taken by then I probably won't continue. So hopefully that answers your question. But I do enjoy doing this kind of stuff. It's just a matter of figuring out how do I do this in an effective way. to actually make some money from it, because that's why we write software at the end of the day, right? Is to pay our bills or to find a job or something like that. And it's very rare that I will work an extended amount of time on a project completely for free. So I need to find ways to drive that motivation, and money certainly is one of those things. I think that if I had 1 million people tuning in for my game every week, I might actually be less interested in the money at that point, because it's driving a bunch of other intrinsic things for me, like my social network and popularity and some other stuff that I can turn into money later. But when I don't have a ton of users and it's not making any money, then it's hard to justify continuing. All right, so I definitely need to know what puzzle you're currently playing, so that when you come back to the skill and reopen it, because I imagine that's going to be a behavior I see quite often, is you open the skill and then you're like, what? Or you have to go to the Alexa app, right? But that's going to end the conversation. And so you're going to want to open the skill again, and I'm going to say, okay, what's your answer, right? Or something like that. And if you say, can you repeat the question or something like that, that's probably something we should add in here. I think there's an Amazon repeat intent. I don't know if I can use that, but we're going to try. So that people can hear the things said again and again. We should probably check and see if that exists before I just use it. Amazon.repeat intent. Standard built-in intents, that's a good sign. Standard built-in. Yeah, that's exactly what I want. Lets the user request to repeat the last action. And so that's like, say that again or repeat that or whatever. And so I may have to modify that a little bit, but I think that's a good start. And then I will have a repeat intent code that basically just reads them the puzzle again or sends them the card again if I need to do that. So that should be pretty cool. What else do we want to think about here as we're building this out initially? All I'm probably going to have time to get to today is to build the part where it like sends the card, and then maybe we can build the schema to validate the answer. I want this to be as kind of seamless as I can. So what does the first time user experience look like? We probably need to explain what is happening and what they should do. Because the first time you come in, I'm going to want to give you some explanation, like, oh, this is a puzzle. We're going to send things to your Alexa app. We're going to ask you to go to specific pages on the internet. Be ready to open the skill over and over, where you're coming back again and again to open the skill. Yeah, so we'll definitely need to think about that. I don't want to do any account linking. I don't think I need to do that. But I will need to figure out how I'm going to identify users. I always really struggle with the what is your first name. I don't think I need to do that either. But I definitely need to be able to create a user in a table and persist them and remember where they are. And that's all very doable with Airtable. That's where I'll do that stuff. All right, so do I launch the card? Like, you come in and I say, welcome to the scavenger hunt. I've pushed an image to your Alexa app for the first puzzle. I've sent an image to your Alexa app. what about ask for email address or SMS number as alternative ways to deliver clues? That could be a thing. So I've sent an image to your Alexa app for the first puzzle. Good luck. Okay, so this is like, that's your welcome image, right? And this needs to be with, add, no. With simple, no. Messaging, audio player, where's the body templates? I actually don't want that, I want the cards, but I was looking to see if... Doesn't it need to work on devices without screens too? Does it use something like alt text for that? Well, the thing is that I won't be sending it, well, I will be sending it to the device screen, but what I'm actually doing is sending it to the app in your phone. So let me see if I can show this pretty easily. I'm not finding it here. I think it's with, is it with standard card? There's a function I'm just missing. With standard card, that's the thing that I'm looking for. So I pass in a string for a title, a string for content, and small image and image, large image URLs. Okay. Now I have to decide where I'm going to store these images. This feels like now I have to start building an Airtable, which is fine. Because I think this is where all this stuff will live. Is my screen just zoomed? It's zoomed in, huh? All right. So let's add a workspace. This one's going to be called Scavenger Hunt. And I'm going to create a base for it from scratch. We're going to call this data. Yellow seems like a lovely color. Yeah, we'll go yellow, that's fine. And then this one will be called speech. I usually use the megaphone for that. I use for data, I use something else, but that's fine. So we'll have a game table. We'll have a puzzle table. We'll have a user table. Just to start thinking about those things, but I'm not going to do any of that for now. I think all I really need to do, we'll just throw these in an S3 bucket. So Carrie, I don't know if that answered your question entirely, but yeah, I'm actually writing a card to the app, which I will show you in just a minute. I just got to get the images hosted. So I don't have one called Scavenger Hunt, do I? I don't. Okay. Create bucket. Scavenger Hunt. Don't want to block all public access. I actually want everything to be public. These are public images. Oh, you're not kidding. Okay, create that. Scavenger Hunt. And then in here, I need to upload some images, which is just going to be those puzzle files that we've actually stop. First thing, create folder. We'll call this game 1. And then we'll upload some files. So if you have an echo show, it'll show it on the screen. But if you don't have an echo show, this thing will be written to the app on your device. But it's one of those things. This is meant to be a little asynchronous, so you're not gonna. I don't know the right way to say this, but you're not going to play this directly. Like, there's very little chance you'll be able to answer these in the time that Alexa gives you when she says, all right, what's your answer? Those 8 seconds are not going to be enough for you to know what to do. So let's upload those. We're going to set permissions on these to public so that they're accessible. Upload. And I'll show you what I mean here in a second, Carrie. So in this, I need with standard card. And this is going to be what would the title of that be? I think the name of the app is already there. So we'll do March 30. Oh, March 30, 2020. And my card content will be puzzle number 1. I'll be better about this when I actually try to push this out, but this is good for now. And then I need my small image URL and my large image URL. So the small image for game 1 puzzle 1 is this. And that's my URL. Copy. Nope. Copy the link address. We'll drop that right here. And then we'll take game 1 puzzle 1 large, copy the link address, and that will go here. Okay, so I have, welcome to the scavenger hunt. I've sent an image to your, good luck. What is your answer? And so we will have something like that. And instead of speak output, we'll just say, what is your answer again? And I've broken something. Oh, I put a semicolon out here. So that should all work. So now we have that repeat thing in there. I don't need that for now. So we'll just do target lambda. That's the only thing I've really changed. I want to see this work. I have my trusty device here in front of me, so as soon as the code has loaded, and it has, let's try this out. Alexa, open scavenger hunt.
Welcome to the scavenger hunt. I've sent an image to your Alexa app for the first puzzle. Good luck. What is your answer?
So you can see that image is kind of small. Alexa, stop.
Sorry, I don't know about that. Please try again.
Stop.
Goodbye.
So you can see that that's kind of small. It's not ideal. That's the Echo Show 5. That's how it chooses to show it there. I'm going to take a look at my Alexa app and see how it looks there. Activity. Man, this may not work as well as I'd like. So I don't know how well you can see this, but you can see that that image is also very small. I was actually thinking that you could blow that up or do something with it, and I don't think that you can. If I turn the app sideways? Does that do anything? No. I can't do anything with that. Man. I mean, my image is showing up, which is good. But I really want that to be bigger. I was thinking that they would show that bigger. There are other apps that have a big image, right? No. As I flip through this, that's about as good as we get. Nothing's clickable. Okay, so yeah, so Carrie, the image that I did on the screen, that one specifically is, hey, I'm showing a card, and it's just showing that image kind of off to the side. What I can do is use APL, which is our design markup language, and I can use that to change the screen. The problem that I have is that I need a way for people that don't have a screen device to be able to also enjoy this content. And that's the thing that I don't have right now. Now I could post this image to Instagram, because it doesn't really, like, let's say I put the images on Instagram, and then in the card I could just say, well, I can't provide a link in the card either. How do I do this for a voiceless experience? I need to go yell at the product team and make the cards more interactive. But there's a bunch of concerns about what happens if people can start dumping links and large images and stuff in there. What else could I do here? Because the screen is nice, but I really want, I need more space. I need that image to be bigger. If I go to my browser, alexa.amazon.com, I know they've not really...
.com is usually defined as
Alexa,
a company that operates...
Stop. So this says no image even found. That's certainly not true, but... that would have been better. Because then at least you could do it in your browser. But that doesn't work either. I'm in an interesting place right now, because the thought I had was that I was going to be able to easily point people to stuff. You can't query device type, Carrie, but I can very much know whether or not a device has a screen. That's pretty easy to do. If I go to the testing console, one of the things that you can see in here is supported interfaces. And this is where, if I go look at, let me go look at my CloudWatch logs. That's probably the easiest place to show you this. But there's a whole bunch of information in the JSON manifest that your skill receives that shows you exactly what sorry, I get distracted by things sometimes when they don't work. What capabilities a device has. So if I do scavenger hunt and open this up, this is when my Echo Show was talking to the device, but I'm not putting that information here yet, so I can't even show you that. But it's all right. So it's shown in this supported interfaces thing, and then in addition to that, you also get this viewport data, which shows you things like what the size of the screen is. So this is 1024 by 600. So at this point, it's pretty easy for me to guess that if it's 1024 by 600, then I know what device it is. That's the Echo Show 5. And if it's another specific set of dimensions, then it's this. But you can't always count on that. You really need to look at things like capabilities. Does it have a screen? Does it support APL? What is its size of screen? Because this is the Echo Show 8. This might be the device that I'm using, but it could also be some other device that just happens to have the same resolution screen. So I don't ever recommend just building for a specific kind of device. You really need it to look nice on all of them. So that's where all this stuff is found. Excuse me, in the manifest though, and so you can see down here at the bottom I have my launch request. That's what tells me what I should do, and this is all like device and user ID information. So I have some work to do. I need to think very hard about where I'm going to have a user see an image. Because I think, yeah, another tricky thing I could do is Alexa, email, permissions. There's this idea that you can request information from your user. They have an email address. And so in here, you can go in and grab this kind of data. The trick is that the user has to be able to provide that information, and then they have to grant permissions. I don't think you can request these permissions via voice. So the best you can do is write a card to their app. And then I can get things like their email address, their phone number. Those would be really useful to have. Because then I could just text them the image. That's actually, if you're gonna lock and load and participate in my game, maybe this is the thing that I should do. Is I should just use the email and phone permissions, and if you haven't granted them, then you don't get to play the game. Because I don't have a way to communicate with you. So my experience will be, welcome to this awesome game. If you want to play, I need you to go to your Alexa app and grant me permissions to have your phone number or your email address. I promise you I'm not going to spam anybody. Must. I think that feels like the next thing to do. So this is probably the thing that I'm going to be working on all week, at least on stream. I have lots of other stuff that I have to do otherwise, but I think the time that I'm coding, I'm going to be working on this game and thinking about permissions, because that's one thing I've never done before, is build a skill that requires that stuff and then checking to see if I have the information, and if I don't have the information, then bouncing you, which feels like, I mean, that's a big door to get people to walk through, but I think I'm going to have to do it. Because I need a way to send you these clues, and it's kind of fun to be able to do them, because then you could play this game anywhere. You don't have to be sitting in front of an Alexa device. You could open the app on your phone and say, play the next clue, and it'll text you. But the cards themselves aren't going to get it done. I think I need those images to be bigger and more robust. And I could do that with an SMS. I could do that with email. I'm going to have to think on this one. I think to do that, and I'll need to check this, there's a few things we need to do before you begin. I have to have a privacy policy, great. No child-directed skills, that's fine. Okay, no account linking. And I must call the customer profile API every time. That basically means I'm not allowed to store it, right? I mean, it doesn't specifically say I can't store it here. I would want to just hold on to it. I would never use it for anything other than communicating with you in the game, but a skill must call the Alexa Customer Profile API to get the latest customer information every time the customer invokes the skill. Yeah, Carrie, I'm with you. Like, I feel like I'm venturing outside of the Alexa part. In the Alexa app, you can obviously talk to Alexa. You can do it in the Amazon app and Amazon Music and a number of other apps that have Alexa built in. So you'd be able to talk to that to give your answer. And this seemed like, it still is. This seemed like a really cool idea. But now that I'm into it, there's definitely some limitations to the platform that I'm running into. The cards are one. The lack of a screen on some devices is also an issue because I can't just use APL for everything. Huh. They wouldn't be able to answer via email or text message. No, I would still require them to come back and talk to the skill. That's where all my validation for the right answer would be. What else could I do to figure this out? I feel like it's not too bad to be able to have them receive the information via email or text. I just wonder if maybe that's a user option. Like, hey, if you'd rather have these sent to your text messaging, you could switch that. And I could have a setting that says which way you would prefer to be contacted, with the default being cards, but cards are kind of, that view is too small. The alt text accessibility thing, Carrie, is the thing that I'm running into. What do I like for this Tiger one specifically? I'm showing the name Joe Exotic, and I have 3 X's through it with a tiger background. Do I say that? Or a Japanese flag is displayed with Olympic rings and a calendar? My fear is that becomes the default experience for people. Because if I don't tell them that I gave them an image, if they don't see the image, then they're playing a alt text accessibility game, which is very helpful for those that can't see, but for those that can see and just don't know the image exists, that becomes kind of bad. Like, I need the default experience to be rich visually. Yeah, but I think the majority of Echo users don't have a screen. Or at least the majority of Echo devices don't, that's for sure. The Echo Dot is doing remarkably well because of its price point. And so I think a lot of people that have Alexa, what they have is an Echo Dot or maybe 2 Echo Dots. But buying something that has a screen, like some of these behind me here, these cost more money, right? So I feel like my default massive population version is initially alt text. If you have a screen, great, I'll show you the image. But I don't think that the majority of my users are going to be screen-based. And if that's the case, then I need to, I don't mind the alt-text approach. I just feel like that's not what I want the core experience to be. There's got to be a better way. I don't understand why that image has to be so small in the cards. Carrie, do you have an Android phone or do you have an iPhone? Oh, this is a good question. QU311. How can I make sure that nobody at the nursing home is purchasing items? It's very easy. You can set up a voice purchase PIN, which you should set up anyway, and then they would have to know that PIN. It's just a 4-digit code, and then anytime they try to buy anything, it would ask them for the PIN, and they wouldn't know it, of course. Excuse me. I was wondering if maybe the Android version of the Alexa app behaves differently or shows the images differently. Can I add the PIN on the Amazon.com website? No, but you can do it from any Alexa device or from the Alexa app. But I don't think you can do it from the website specifically, but the Alexa app for sure. And I think maybe even I can do it here. If we look at settings. Somewhere in here there's like a voice purchase pin, I thought. I have a lot of devices, sorry. Voice purchasing. You could go to alexa.amazon.com and do this. And for voice code, you can see that I have that turned on, require the 4-digit voice code. And then I can reset the code and I can type it all in here. So just go to alexa.amazon.com and log in with your stuff. That's probably the easiest way. And then, but you can also do it from the Alexa app. You could also do it on the device, I think. But between those options, you should be all set. All right, well, we're at 11:45. We usually run until about this time. Noon is my cutoff. So I've got some thinking to do on this one. Because I think there's a cool concept here. I think, and QU311, thank you for being here, by the way. I didn't actually get to notice that you were here. I know there's a few people watching that I never get to interact with. But if you wouldn't mind dropping me a follow, one, it'll light up the screen with a cool animation. But two, it'll give you an opportunity to know when I'm going to be live again. I'm generally here always talking about Alexa stuff at least 3 days a week, if not more. And for any of you that are lurking in the back, like Freestyle Coder, thank you guys all for being here. I would appreciate the follow if you don't mind doing it. It lets me know who's watching and who's paying attention, and it makes it easier for me to justify to my team that I should be doing more of this kind of stuff. So if there's things you like, if there's things you want to see, oh, you guys are already following. Well, that's even better. If you unfollow and follow again, it does put a cool animation on screen, but no need to do that. But I'm really trying to figure out what I want to continue doing here. Is this the thing? Is it me just making stuff up and building things that I think are interesting? Because I know I hit weird pockets of things all the time, like these cards that we need to figure out or solve or do whatever. So if you guys like what I'm doing, let me know that stuff. It's really helpful for me to understand what you guys value. And if there's things that you don't like, then let me know that stuff too. Like, hey, this stuff's really boring, but oh, that's cool. Thank you very much, QU311. You were able to make a skill when you saw some in-person training with me. That's awesome. I wish I could do some in-person training now, but this is a weird time we live in. All right, I've got some thoughts to put together in my head. I may even revisit working on this afternoon, but I'll do it off of stream. And then I'll definitely be back here Wednesday morning to continue working on this, and I'll update you on anything that I've changed. But I don't expect to make a ton of progress between now and Wednesday because of jobs and things. Well, QU311, we'll do some APL in this skill for sure. That's going to be one of the core ways that we interact with people with screens. So we'll do some APL on this specific project this week, I promise. So thank you guys all for tuning in. I'm gonna call it a day. This has been a weird one, but we'll get to a really cool solution at some point. I think this is a really big opportunity to do something fun and interactive on Alexa. So with that, I'm signing off. Thank you guys all so much.